Hello, it's so good to be here for another Tuesday live show from the studios of Digital DJ Tips, the world's leading DJ school. I'm Phil Morse, and in today's show, we're going to be talking about, and you're going to be sharing your stories about, if you're watching live, returning to DJing after a break. So if you are thinking of coming back to DJing a little bit later on in your life and your career, maybe you've got more time because your family are getting older and you want to get back to your hobby, or you just have had a break forced on you by whatever, your job, your circumstances, and you want to get back, but you're a little bit nervous about it. You're kind of thinking, well, what's changed? What's the same? Am I still capable of doing this? Is it all totally different to how I remember it back in my day, whenever your day was? If you've got these anxieties, if you've got these worries, if you've got these unknowns, it can be quite hard to find someone to tell you what it's really like out there and to give you a crash course in getting back on track. And the thing is, we are the biggest DJ school in the world, and we also run a survey every year of over 30,000 DJs worldwide. So we know what it's like out there, and you might be really surprised at how grown up the DJ world's becoming, because people have been doing this in the way we think of DJing for many decades now. And so there's DJs of every age. Yes, there are your 15 and 16-year-old wonder kids, but also there's your 50 and 60-year-old DJs making a lot of great music for people to dance to, having a lot of fun doing this and not thinking twice about where they are in their life, just enjoying the hobby of DJing. So there's a big broad church out there of DJs nowadays. So that's what we're going to help you with today if you're returning to this. Now, as ever, we want you to share your ideas. We want you to share what you think. Have you returned to DJing? Is it something you're thinking of doing and you've got challenges, you've got things you want to ask? We're here for the next half an hour or 45 minutes or so to help you with all of that. So do take part. We're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, but you can ask underneath the Facebook video is the best place, because then if we don't get to you live, we'll get to you later on. But if you're on YouTube, ask in the comments as well. We're also live on Twitch. So Twitch people, hello, good to have you here. This is all based upon an article that we wrote recently on the Digital DJ Tips website. Digital DJ Tips is the biggest website for DJs, full stop, if you're into DJ tech. And we wrote this article called Returning to DJing After a Break, and it got a huge response. Like, we've got hundreds and hundreds of people signing up to get back into DJing from this article alone. There's a really cool article. I'll show you how to get to this article today, or just go to Digital DJ Tips and you'll find it there somewhere near the top. We talk you through in the article everything you need to know to get started again as a DJ. So I'm going to be basing today's live show on what we wrote in the article. And so we based the whole thing around the idea that there are really 5 areas to get up to speed on again when you want to return to DJing. And it's the same 5 areas that we talk about in our book, Rock the Dance Floor. By the way, if you want a copy of this book, we'll give it to you for free. That's one of the very first things you can do if you want to get started again in DJing, is grab a copy of the book. Go to that URL, digitaldjtips.com/join. Do it after the show, because I've got lots to share with you right here, right now. But go there after the show, digitaldjtips.com/join. We'll give you a copy of our book for becoming our latest member, but also we'll sign you up to Digital DJ Tips, the biggest community and school for DJs in the world, with the widest choice of courses. And the free stuff we give you is awesome. I mean, we've done over 5,000 videos on YouTube. We've done many, many, many thousands of training articles. We've got James Hype, Laidback Luke, DJ Angelo, and Jazzy Jeff, and many other great names in the world of DJing, contributing content, mixes, tutorials and courses. So we've got a lot of people here to call on, and we send you free stuff every week when you join up. So it's a great newsletter to get every week from us if you're getting back into DJing, or indeed if you are. You've never gone away. So join us. Right, so that's who we are. That's kind of our credentials here. Let's start talking about it then. And what I want you to do is share your stories as we go through. Stories, challenges, and at the end we'll go to the live comments and we'll spend the last 20 minutes or so just chatting DJing. So let's talk about those areas. Let's talk about what the things that might have changed and that might not have changed are that you need to be aware of. So the first thing is gear. Because in the old days, we used to DJ on 2 turntables and a mixer, right? That was it. And then it kind of went to 2 CDJs and a mixer. And that kind of stayed the same for many years, if not decades. Well, it's all changed. So let's talk about what you'll find in clubs first. So in clubs, you'll still find 2 CDJs and a mixer, but you're not DJing from CDs anymore. You're DJing from a USB drive with your music on it. And that music needs to be prepared on a laptop, come what may. So you're going to need a laptop. If you're just preparing your music, any old laptop will do. So if you want to DJ on club gear, that's what a lot of DJs do. And a lot of DJs who haven't taken a break from DJing and who've kind of been around all along, they're still doing just that. The only thing they're not doing is taking CDs with them. They're putting their music onto a USB drive and clicking it into a machine. And that's it. They're just playing that way. No laptop in the DJ booth at all. Now, if you are coming back to DJing and you still want to do it that way, one of the ways you can do that is by buying what's called a standalone system. And a standalone system is basically a DJ system where it's got the same stuff you'll find in a club in one big box. And you can get these from 2 manufacturers nowadays, Den and DJ, who do their Prime range, so look for those, and Pioneer DJ, who do their XDJ range, and look for the standalone ones, look for the big boxes. We've got reviews of all of these on Digital DJ Tips. Maybe it's a good time to show you how to find those. Go to the Digital DJ Tips website, go to reviews at the top, and then go to DJ Gear here. And then in here, we're going to click standalone DJ systems on the left. And then you'll see all of these systems here that do this, that let you DJ in the same way you can in a club, really, but in one box that costs you a lot less money than the club system does, and that has everything built into the single box. But otherwise, you're plugging a USB drive in and you're DJing the normal way. So what's the other way? Well, the other way is, of course, laptop DJing. Laptop DJing is where you have a laptop that plugs into a piece of DJ gear, and the piece of DJ gear is called a controller. This is a controller. It's just a box. It's basically a glorified keyboard and mouse that plugs into your computer and lets you control the DJ stuff. But of course, you get spinny things, you get knobs, you get buttons, you get all the stuff that feels like DJ gear, but ultimately it's just an interface. Everything's going on in the DJ software, everything's going on your computer, the music, the mixing, everything, the effects, it's all going on in your computer in a piece of software. And so this is a very good way of doing it if you already own a computer that's good enough, and most modern computers are, because basically the box is a plastic box, so it costs you an awful lot less. You can get them for $200 or $300. Again, over on the Digital DJ Tips website, unclick standalone and click DJ controllers, and you'll find all the controllers here that are currently on the market, of which there are lots and lots and lots that work with software. There's lots of software as well. You can drill down and look at the software to use, but in the article itself I cover a lot more about the software and the hardware and what you should be looking at. And actually in the article itself we do more than that, because we've got a handout for you to download. So go to the article, it's called Returning to DJing After a Break, click on it and click on the link that says get your free download here. When you do that, we will grab your email and send it to you, and in that sheet I go into detail about the brands, the types, and so on. So that's the place to get the details about this. But basically, software DJing, laptop, box, plug in, DJ away, and it's a lot cheaper than standalone DJing or buying club gear. And there is a kind of deviation of software DJing, of laptop DJing, called DVS, or digital vinyl. And digital vinyl is where you take your existing gear. So maybe you are a DJ that already owns record decks because they've been in the cellar or in the attic or just stuck in the spare bedroom under the bed or whatever. You've got record decks, you've got a mixer, and you just want to use it again, but you want to use it with digital equipment. Well, you can do that with DVS. DVS basically gives you really clever vinyl. This is DVS vinyl, hasn't got anything recorded on it, just computer code. And then this interacts with your existing gear in order to control the DJ software. So it's a nice way of using the DJ gear you've already got. So again, we talk about that in the article. All right, so the one thing I don't want you to do is think, I've got a pile of records, I'll just buy some gear and find something that will let me play CDs and play digital and play my records and also use software and this USB. And keep it simple. Switch to digital 100%. You'll regret trying to build some kind of system that lets you do everything. It's much better to park all your analog CDs and vinyl and stuff and start again with digital. And then you can always bring some of those across by ripping them later on if you want to. Right. let's talk about music. So we've got 5, 6 things we're talking about here really, because I'm adding producing on the end. So we've got gear, music, techniques, performing, promoting yourself and producing. Let's talk about music. So the difference in music, what's changed in music is it's gone from being scarce to being abundant. You used to have £20, $20, 50 euros, whatever, to spend on music every week or every month. And you'd go to the record store and you'd fight the other DJs to get the good stuff because there were only a certain number of tracks, right? We've all been there if we are old enough. It's not like that anymore. Now everything is online. You get all your music online. So we've gone from a kind of scarcity to abundance. And this is good and bad. It's easy to get music now, but everyone's got access to everything. Music is not bought on record shops anymore. It's bought online. So you buy it from places like the classics, iTunes, Amazon, and so on, but also specialized stores. Again, this is all linked in the PDF in the article. I'll give you links to all the places that people get this stuff. And also DJ download pools, which are the modern version of promo pools. If you're old enough to remember being sent records in the post, this is the modern version of that. So all of these are ways that you get digital files. And there's also streaming. There's streaming services that plug into certain DJ gear and let you DJ without actually owning any music. And they can be good for discovery and as a backup to owning the gear as well. Sorry, owning the music as well. So lots of ways that music's got nowadays that's different. Don't try and rip all your old music. Up here, I've got a very small amount of my vinyl left over from the vinyl days. And, you know, I've basically bought again the digital versions of the tracks I really love. They're just kept, so I've got a little bit. I can't let go of everything. I bought again the digital versions of vinyl that I love, apart from the stuff that I couldn't find, and then I had to rip that. CDs are easy enough to rip into your... ripping just means taking it and turning it into a digital copy. But don't try and do it with your vinyl. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the hassle. Drop the 99 cents on a new copy of the stuff you really want digitally. Right, so that's music. We're going to move on quickly because I've got a lot to get through, and this is all covered in a lot more detail in the PDF itself. So do head over to Digital DJ Tips, click on the Returning to DJing After a Break article and click to download your Returning to DJing resource sheet. Also just read through the article because there's a lot of good stuff in here. The third area then is the techniques. What's changing the way DJing is actually done? Well, quite a lot, and actually not so much that you need to worry about it. What's changed in the way DJing is done is that there's a lot more you can do nowadays. There is easy multi-sync, there's sampling, there's ways of chopping up your music and using effects online and on board, and there's ways of looping your music in with the beat. And all of this stuff adds an awful lot of creativity. You can, using a really clever trick of modern DJ software and modern DJ systems called quantize, which means anything you do will jump to the nearest beat or to the nearest fraction of a beat. You can actually chop up tracks, and you can have points in tracks marked with what are called cue points. So you can jump from the verse to the chorus, back to the verse, to the drop, to the breakdown, to the best vocal bit. And it all happens in perfect time, even though you might be a bit early or a bit late. Doesn't matter. It's like the video games that correct. Imagine a video game that relies on timing, correcting you every time you press a button. Well, that's what it's like. So it's very, very good to get awesome sounding results. One of the big new features that people love is key mixing, where you can match the tracks by beat and tempo, but also by harmony. So they just sound wonderful together. This is all great, but it also can be very overwhelming. So my biggest tip if you're returning to DJing is not to worry about all of that. The DJ gear you buy, whether you buy a standalone USB system or a laptop controller, can do what you know. It can take 2 tracks and let you get them to the same speed and blend them together. And that is DJing, and that hasn't changed. If you want to start doing more, then you can learn slowly, bit by bit, how to do the extra stuff. It doesn't mean you can't have fun doing it. It doesn't mean you can't play out. There's an awful lot of DJs who are still doing what I just described, playing one record, playing another record, playing another record. None of the stuff that I talked about, none of the extra stuff that digital brings you, they're not bothering with it. And these DJs aren't just you and me, these DJs are the top DJs in the world. So don't think that you have to do all that stuff, because an awful lot of DJs aren't bothering that at all. When it's there, and when you're ready for it, it's there, you can do it, but don't let it put you off. Now, we have courses at Digital DJ Tips that will help you to do all of that stuff. This isn't a Digital DJ Tips course lesson, so I'm not going to go into too much detail other than to show you that if you go to DJ courses at the top of the Digital DJ Tips site and scroll down, the best introduction to all of this stuff, if you're completely wanting to get up to speed, is the complete DJ course, or if mixing is what you want to get up to speed with, start with Mixing Power Skills. So Mixing Power Skills, if you want to learn all the new stuff that software can do and that modern systems can do, or if you just want a course that teaches you what I'm talking about today, the complete DJ course is the one. So don't worry if you don't want to do, or you don't think you can handle doing all the new stuff. It's not necessary, it's there as an added bonus, and most of it's there to make your life easier. So as you discover it, you'll be like, oh, that's brilliant. Certainly nothing to be scared of. Let's move on to performing. We've got performing and promoting and producing to talk about. What's changed in all those areas. We've already covered gear, music and techniques. If you missed that, we're talking about returning to DJing, and you can watch the replay on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook's the best place because you can still ask questions underneath and me and the team will get to you there. So we're talking about performing. What's changed? Well, there's more places to perform. There's more ways to perform. The whole DJ world has grown up. So people are listening to and enjoying DJs in restaurants, in posh bars, in beach bars, barbecues, work events. Because of DJ gear being smaller and lighter weight, people are now enjoying DJs in places that couldn't fit DJ gear in the old days. The little balconies and the little terraces of bars on strips and on beachfronts and so on. All places where you can potentially DJ out nowadays, but also you can DJ online. You can live stream your DJ sets, and there's a course in the courses area to teach you about that as well. Just using your phone or using cameras all over the place like we've got in this studio. Whatever you want to do as far as live streaming goes is possible. You can get online very, very quickly, and this can be awesome because if you're into a style of music that isn't mainstream, you can find an audience online for your music. A lot of DJs are loving live streaming their sets. It's all changed since COVID really, but it's not going away. It's arrived, it's a cool way of DJing. So not only can you DJ out in more places than ever and to more age groups than ever, but you can also live stream your sets. And you can also put your sets online. You can perform and put your sets on dedicated websites, like Mixcloud is one of them, for instance, where totally legally you can have your music up there. And a lot of DJs returning to the game really enjoy getting their old DJ recordings and old mixtapes and putting them up on these new services. So lots and lots of ways of performing and lots more chances to perform. However, you have to be realistic. You know, when I started DJing, it was me playing for my mates. We were all late teens, early 20s, and the people on the dance floor were me. They were my mates. If I wasn't DJing, I would be dancing. It's not like that if you're returning to DJing in your 30s or 40s or beyond, because most of your friends aren't out there dancing anymore. So you've got to be realistic, but everyone still goes out. You know, I've seen some wonderful events where the crowd's been middle-aged and it's a Saturday night restaurant that turns into a bit of a dance floor. You need to find out start with where you go, but find out where the people who you're realistically going to appeal to go. And go for that. Yeah, the audience might not be as big. Yes, the money might not be as great. And yes, it might just be something that you do every now and then, but there's always a place to DJ. That's the beauty of DJing growing up and becoming something for all ages. And then I want to talk about promoting yourself because again, you've got to be realistic. As I said, if you are getting older, you might just be doing it for fun, which is great. But if you can find an audience of a few people who love what you do, you'll find that the big thrill of that is good enough. It'll replace playing to bigger audiences when you were younger. A lot of DJs are happy to play once a month or irregularly while holding down an online live stream and posting mixtapes every now and then just doing it for fun. So don't think you need to have this big, like, I'm going to conquer the world mindset. Not at all. However, as someone who is professional, who's got determination because you're an adult and you've lived through a lot and you've succeeded and you've learned about what is really important, you've got something over the younger folk because a lot of cool DJs have got no professionalism. And guess what bar owners and restaurant managers and lounge proprietors and promoters want? They want DJs that turn up on time, that are good with people and that are professional. And you can probably do that. You've probably got an edge on people who are not quite at the point in their working lives where they've learned the value of that kind of stuff. Not everyone, of course. There's very diligent, professional people of all ages. But as we get older, we tend to get better at that stuff. And also our music collections are better. Let's face it, we've been collecting music for longer. So don't let your age get in the way of promoting yourself and getting out there. The final thing I wanted to talk about was producing. By the way, we really are skimming over a lot of this stuff. And the reason we're skimming over it is that we've written a whole article on Digital DJ Tips. So if you're joining us late, we're talking about returning to DJing after a break. And this article is huge and it's done brilliantly. The reason we're talking about this at all today is that this article has smashed it. And there's hundreds and hundreds of people this has resonated with, and they're signing up to Digital DJ Tips in order to get the free resource sheet. It comes with it, which goes into a lot of detail about how to return to DJing, but also to become the latest member of our community. We've got an awful lot of DJs returning to DJing in our community. Trust me on that, you won't be alone. So do go and look at the article. Just head to the digitaldjtips.com website and click on returning to DJing after a break. And if you can't find it because you're watching this in the future, click on the little search magnifying glass and just type returning to DJing in the top there, and you will get this article. That's the first search result. There we go. Along with other stuff as well, lots more stuff. About 5,000 articles on the Digital DJ Tips website in the last 11 years. Incredible, I know. So producing music. Right, we all want to produce music. We all dabble in producing music, or if we don't dabble in it, we have tried it in the past. It's just something DJs have always loved to do. And why not? It's an extension of DJing. I'm here to tell you that nowadays it's easier than ever to make music. You don't need to start from the beginning because you can get great sounds, great samples, great equipment that does an awful lot of the stuff that you used to need a studio to do in a box about this big. Little boxes like this. This is the Novation Circuit Rhythm. There's also one called the Circuit Tracks. These are, I love these. These are tiny little boxes that can basically sound like a finished track. A few hundred dollars, and you got one of those. Little boxes like that are an absolute godsend because they run off battery. You can take them wherever you go and you can just be jamming away making music. Make the music that you want to hear. Make music for yourself and don't worry about what you're not doing. You know, when I said about returning to DJing, there's all this stuff. You don't need to do it all. Making music, you don't need to do it all. The best way to start making music, in my view, is to do what most, or if not most, a lot of younger DJs who've grown up with the idea of remixing and using software to make their own versions of tracks do, which is basically take the tracks you like and change them to suit the way you want to DJ. Put beats at the beginning and end, take a break out, add an extra kick drum to something older to make it a little bit more dance floor friendly. Do a faster version of a slow song so you can play it in your sets and that kind of thing. So this is all easy to do. Now again, we're a DJ school. We've got courses that teach you how to do this. There's a course by Laid Back Luke that springs to mind instantly, where he shows you how to make bootlegs and mashups and re-edits and remixes of tracks. Here it is, Laid Back Luke's bootlegs, mashups and re-edits. It's a really good way to get started in producing music because you don't need to start from scratch. You can just take something you love, and I bet if I say to you now, name me a track that you love that you think you could improve, I bet you can think of one, right? So this is how to get started doing that. Take a look at that course. But don't be intimidated by making music nowadays. It is honestly easier than ever to do that. I mean, the big message I've got for you if you're returning to DJing is don't be scared and don't think you'll be the only one. Don't feel stupid, don't feel overwhelmed. It has changed, but a lot of it is for the better. Now, some things aren't for the better. Personally, these and dance floors, I hate it. I hate the smoking ban indoors. Now, I don't smoke, but I don't like people leaving the dance floor to go and have a smoke out the back either. I wish it hadn't changed, you know, it's just me. You're probably very different, you probably love it. By the way, I don't like being in a smoky room otherwise, but to me, a club, I just want everyone there together. You know, things have changed, but the biggest thing, playing the right music for the people in front of you right now, none of that has changed. Yes, the technology is different. Yes, the way you get the music is different. Yes, there's more techniques you can use. Yes, there's a shorter attention span and everyone's got phones and everyone's nipping out for a cigarette break and all that. And yes, when it comes to promoting yourself, you've got social media and everything's fragmented. And as an older DJ, you're going to need to find your crowd. But I'm here to tell you, you can do all of that. And you can even make your own versions of tracks easier than ever and start producing music easier than ever as well because of all the new tech around that's democratized the whole thing. It's really a very exciting time to be involved in DJing and don't be scared about returning to it. Okay. That's what I had for you today. Again, head over to the website to get the article that supports this. You'll find it on the Digital DJ Tips website on the homepage at the moment. If not, go to the search box there, type in return to DJing and click on returning to DJing after a break, where you can not only get the article, but get a resource sheet that's got hundreds of links in it to software, hardware, music resources, gear resources, promoting resources, courses, stuff from our DJs that'll help you. It really is a treasure trove of what you need to return to DJing. So go take a look at that. But now, and for the rest of today's show, because this is a recording of a live show, we're going to go to you guys and girls, and we're going to talk about returning to DJing after a break, and we're just going to hang out together. So if you're watching the recording, thanks for being here. You can skedaddle off now and find the article and download that, but you could hang around because we're going to talk DJing, returning to DJing, and I bet you'll learn an awful lot, even if this is a recording, and you can still ask questions underneath, by the way. So hello everyone, we're live, we've got you all here. Hi to a lot of our regulars, Mixmaster G, Dave, Doc, Wiley, Technobeat, David in Miami, and to Charlie, who says, I'm back after being hacked. Oh, sorry to hear that, Charlie. To GM and Jack in Texas, and Catherine, who says good morning from California. Tony as well, good morning stateside there. Pavel in Lithuania, and David, who said, I watched one of your recordings of your last live streams last night. Great memories. It was a bit wet and wild, the one I watched. I've done an awful lot of live streaming. We were talking about DJing live streaming, weren't we, a minute ago? I've done an awful lot of it from all over the place. As David says there, you know, rain and shine, I've done live streams because I just find it a great way of sharing my music with people, and you should have a go at it. We've got a course for that, but anyway. Hi, Papa D. Hello to Champagne Kenny and Anthony and Mo in Maryland. And You Don't Like My Music, one of our regulars in Toronto. Hello to you. Right, what are you saying about this? Charlie on Facebook says, 29 years in the game, I will die DJing. So that's awesome to hear. Thank you for that. So hi, Ricky in South Africa. You Don't Like My Music said, I went out last Saturday night for the first time in years and everything seemed back to normal. My sister was the only one who was masked up. Yeah, you know, a lot of people are returning to DJing because we couldn't DJ for that long. Very, very true. So if you are returning to DJing, literally because you've been stopped from doing it for a couple of years, well, a lot of what I've just shared with you is the same as every other DJ in the world, of course, because I guess what we're talking about here is returning to DJing after a longer break than everyone else. But thank you for sharing that there. This is from Technobeat, who says, I've actually downloaded your PDF from the website and I love it because I'm just now studying in college, so I need to stay focused and get back into DJing soon. So it's good that you've done that, and I hope you enjoy that, Technobeat. Midnight Wolf says, my biggest challenge is marketing. Indeed, it can be tricky marketing yourself nowadays. One of the biggest tips I can give you for marketing yourself as a DJ is grab your phone, look through your contacts, and think about the people in there who might come to an event that you decide to put on. Then put on that event for them. Don't think that to market yourself as a DJ, you need to reach outside of who you know and what you know and suddenly announce yourself to this world that's waiting, because it ain't waiting. So it's much easier to start with who you know, and then get them interested, get them involved, even if it's only 5 or 10 people, and then their friends, then their friends and their friends. Build it organically from what you already know and what you've already got. Don't discount where you already have reached in life, because if you love music, you'll know other people who love music already. Putting something on for your friends is the best way to get started as a DJ. This is from Som, who says, hi Phil, I'm a vinyl DJ who's returning to DJing after a 6-year break. I'm moving from Europe to Dubai, and it turns out that DJing over there is a lot more lucrative than continuing my regular job. Wow. As I can't take my vinyl and turntables, what would be the best piece of gear to buy that I can fly with? Really interesting. So in a hold, if you're putting your gear in a suitcase and sticking it in a hold, obviously it doesn't need to fit hand luggage. So you've got a big choice of gear there. Pretty much anything that we were showing you on the Digital DJ Tips website would be good there. So let's go and have a look now. So again, if you want to look at DJ gear, head to the reviews on the Digital DJ Tips website, click DJ gear. So, you know, any controllers like this are going to be great. These are small, easy to carry. However, if you want to DJ out with it, you're going to want something at least a little bit professional. The one that I recommend to most people who want something that does everything for them is this one, the Pioneer DJ XDJ RX3. There's an awful lot of great DJ gear out there from an awful lot of manufacturers, but this one is the one that hits the sweet spot. Now, it's not It's going to be oversized on a plane, so you're going to need to pay a bit to move it, but you will be able to move it easily enough. Keep it in its original box, wrap it well, and send it on its way in the hold when you are in the cabin. But once you get there, you'll find you've got a piece of equipment that works really well with both DJ software like Serato and Rekordbox, also with USB standalone. That is big enough to look professional and feel professional when you're using it, but small enough to be able to carry around and literally under your arm if you have to, between the gig and your home, and is practical enough to tuck in the corner of your apartment or living room to DJ on when you want to practice at home. So the Pioneer DJ XDJ RX3, if you want one piece of gear that looks professional, that you can transport around the world, albeit at a little bit of a excess oversized baggage cost, and that will do pretty much it all, is the one to go for. It's not perfect, but for most people it's getting pretty close. So I hope that was useful to you, Som. Let's now talk to Midnight Wolf got back to finishing my biggest challenges marketing with a particular pain point, and said the owners know you already, but getting back in is the challenge. One way of getting a gig that I love is called the $1 pitch. Now, if you live in the United Kingdom, it's the £1 pitch. If you live in the Eurozone, it's the €1 pitch, and replace your currency here. But what you do is you go to a venue and you say, look, I've seen a hole in what you do. I've seen a gap in what you do. I want to fill it. I could talk to you for hours about music. You're busy, I'm busy. Here's what we're going to do. I don't DJ for nothing. I respect the art of DJing and I'm a good DJ, but you don't know me. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to DJ this and then insert night here, Friday night, Saturday night, Thursday, whenever, for you. And my usual fee is $200. But I'm only going to charge you $1. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want you to see what I can do. I want you to see who I can bring, how I make people stay longer and drink more and so on. And I want to make it a no-brainer for you when I say, hey, do you want me to come and do this regularly? So it's going to cost you $1. When's the first time we can do this? And then they'll say, hey, no, we're not interested. Or hopefully someone will say, well, yeah, how about a week on Saturday? So you turn up, you give them an invoice. It's got all the pro details on it. Remember what I said about professionalism? And it says $200 DJ fee. And then it says one-off discount, $199. And at the bottom it says $1. You hand it to them before you start DJing. I always ask for payment up front. Come on, give him $1. And of course you're doing this all with a smile on your face and in a jolly way. You take your money, you set up and you do a good job. It's taken as read you're going to do a good job here. And then at the end of the night you say, okay, I think that went really well. Do you want me back next week? And then it's a simple yes, no from their point of view. And if they say yes, say great, no problem. And you turn up next week and you set up and you give them an invoice. It's exactly the same as the one you gave them last week, but it hasn't got the $199 discount on it. And you say, pay up. And you've got yourself a gig. The $1 pitch. It's a good way to sell from your toes. I call it selling from your toes because you're assuming they're going to say yes all the way, and you're making it very easy for them. So have a go at it and see how you get on. I'd love to know how you get on. Do tell me if you try this. This is from Jack. I'm an 80s vinyl DJ. I stopped in 1991. I picked it back up in 2015. So you had a 24-year gap, quarter of a century. The technology was the biggest surprise, but after a couple of years of playing with Tractor, I went all in with Denon, which is a standalone thing. I have a career, so I gig when I want to and just for my own enjoyment. Jack, you're a man after the heart of everyone watching this who wants to return to DJing. 24 years Jack left it. He got the modern gear. He's got a career as well, so he's just DJing for fun when he wants to. Jack, we salute you, my friend. You're an inspiration to everyone watching this who wants to do the same thing. Justin says the iPad is a better choice than a laptop right now. I disagree with you there, actually, Justin, for lots of reasons, but thank you for sharing your view there. You certainly can DJ on an iPad, that's true. Then Mixmaster G is correcting me when I said there's only 2 brands that do standalone gear. He says that there's actually 3 because Newmark does as well. In fact, Newmark does the, I've got it here because I took it off the desk before going live today. The Mix Stream Pro uses the same technology as Denon, but yes, you're true. There's actually 4 if you want to include Gemini, but frankly, I wouldn't bother. So this is from Amantalas. I'm going to answer this one, but it'll be the only one I answer like this. As you know, if you're a Digital DJ Tips regular, we love doing these shows. We do them every Tuesday and every Thursday at this time. And on Thursday, it's generally, oh, we didn't do it last Thursday, I was away, it was a bank holiday. On Thursdays, any questions, ask me anything, right? So if you've got questions that aren't related to what we're talking about today, come back on Thursday. But I will just answer one today from Amantalas. Any rumours from Pioneer for a new XDJ XZ? The one I showed you on our reviews page, the RX3, is a smaller version of the one that Alas is talking about, which is huge. No rumours at all of that, I'm afraid. Noof started in the 90s with vinyl, went through CDs, and now has a laptop. And Noof says, I either use it with a controller or with CDJs. Also, I have DVS and phase. So you've basically got everything I spoke about. I didn't speak about phase, actually. When I said if you've already got record decks and you just want to use them with software, you can use them with DVS vinyl like this. What I didn't tell you was that you can also control software with this thing called phase. Phase is actually really cool. So let's just talk about how this works. So phase has... Oh, that's wrong. Don't want that one. That's the one I wanted. Phase is a system that lets you basically put this little puck on your record deck. So you put this on your record deck, the spindle goes through there, and then as the record deck spins, this puck spins around. Now this is actually a transmitter, and you put the other one on the other record deck. So they transmit to this unit here. And this unit here is then connected by USB to your DJ software. And potentially that's the only connection you need to make. You don't even need to use these audio connections. And then that will control your DJ software and let you DJ with turntables just by using this and these. And this is all battery powered. So phase is really cool. It works with a lot of DJ software nowadays as well. So it's something I would recommend you look at as well. So thank you for pulling me up on that and reminding me that that existed. Let's put that away again. I like to try and keep it as neat as possible in the studio here. You can imagine with all this gear around, it does get quite messy quite quickly if you don't tidy up. So we're talking about returning to DJing after a break, by the way, if you're just joining us. We have done all the talking about returning to DJing after a break, and we're now basically chatting about it. So if you missed it, head to the Digital DJ Tips website, click on returning to DJing after a break if you're watching this on or around the current date, which is, well, basically the beginning of May 2020. But if you're watching it later, this won't be here. This page won't look like this, people. So click on the magnifying glass and type returning to DJing in the search box, and then this page will appear. It's a good resource because it's got not only a lot of information about this, but more importantly, a resource sheet you can download that's got a lot of links in to stuff which will help you. Gear, software, music resources, free tutorials, paid tutorials, and all that kind of stuff. So do take a look there. But that's what we're doing today anyway. So more chatter about this. This is from Melvin. The only issue for me is that I've been downloading radio edits, so now I'm having to re-download extended versions. Yes, all that stuff still exists, radio edits, extended versions and so on. So I'm glad you've figured it out anyway. And a few of you are saying, we still go to record stores. Oh man, I love record stores. It's just that most people, like 99%, don't have one near them anymore, so they can't go to them. But I'm really glad that you still go to record stores. Good on you, Joel. I think we just had Record Store Day 2022, didn't we? I used to love hunting for vinyl, says Davey, but now it's a fun exercise to find downloads and indeed to browse for CDs on eBay and so on. It's another good way of upgrading your music. So Melvin, you are representative of a shrinking group of people when you say this. Melvin doesn't like some of the modern stuff. Melvin says, I think auto sync should be removed. It's a bad habit. That really is something that has been dead and buried for a long time among DJs, Melvin. When you've got people like DJ Jazzy Jeff using sync, you know that it's a good tool and that it can be used for great things in DJing. So if you don't want to use it, Melvin, don't use it. But I would certainly recommend all DJs to explore using sync for loads of reasons, which you're not going to go into here. But thank you for sharing your viewpoint there, Melvin. Quantize can be a great help, says Mixmaster G. We were talking about that, but it does require good beat grids. That's true, it does require good beat grids. We've got stuff to teach you how to beat grid on Digital DJ Tips as well. Beat gridding, by the way, if you're, again, this is one of the new things. It's one of the, remember I said there's new features which are designed to make your life easier? Beat gridding is one of them. Beat gridding is when on a track, because tracks have waveforms nowadays with peaks and troughs and so on, the software puts a grid over it, marking where all the beats are. And that means that when you hit the sync button or when you use effects that are linked to the beats, like echoes and so on, that it will all happen nicely. And once you've got that in place, you can do what I was talking about earlier, quantize, which is where if you're a bit early or a bit late pressing a button, it snaps it to the nearest beat, which is awesome. As Mixmaster G says, it does rely on good beat grids. And it can be difficult for beginners, but the concept is very simple. The track is listened to by the software and it normally does a really good job of it. And when it doesn't, the things it gets wrong, it might get the beat double or half the speed it should be, or guess the wrong first beat. It's so easy to correct those things. 9 times out of 10, that's all you need to do to a beat grid, probably 95 times out of 100. And if you need to do more, yes, they can get a bit tricky, but it's definitely worth experimenting with beat grids if you've never seen them before. And a lot of DJs don't use them. Jazzy Jeff, to name one of our tutors, he uses the sync button when he knows his tracks are beat gridded, so he can use multiple decks and all kinds of other clever stuff. But sometimes he'll just mix a track in that isn't beat gridded and he'll just do it the old way manually. So look, it's not an either or here. Thank you very much for that. This is from someone on our Facebook group. I'm currently having a small break from DJing. Due to being in the middle of moving house, it happens to the best of us. Where I'm moving to has got a lot better internet, which will definitely help with my live streams. Talking of live streams, I'm looking to get the Logitech HD webcam. It's only £33 on Amazon and has a resolution of 720. I'm wondering whether this will do the trick. Yes, that's not the best webcam in the world, but you can stream easily in 720. 720 is the number of lines on this part of the screen. So if you look at this screen here, it's the number of lines from the top. This is all your comments, by the way. It's the number of lines from the very top where my mouse is now down to the very bottom. And if that is 720 resolution or pixels, then we say the camera is in 720. This is currently 1080. So this has got 1920 from left to right and 1080 from top to bottom. But 720 is considered HD. It's good enough. So a webcam that's 720 is good enough. 2 things to bear in mind with a cheap webcam. 1, you don't want to be putting it too far away from the thing you want to be filming because it'll get fuzzy. And 2, light your subject, which will be your decks and you, properly. Use abundance of daylight or an awful lot of light around you, because webcams don't generally deal very well with low light. So if you do that, you'll get reasonable results. So VJing. A couple of you mentioned VJing. That's something that's new as well, using videos, but it's beyond the scope of today's article, today's live show and the article. But thank you for sharing that as well. John says the biggest challenge for me is getting my music prepared for digital DJing. It's one of the 5 big areas we talk about in the book, is music and preparing music. Do get the book, by the way, people. If you want a copy of our book, the best-selling guide on Amazon on how to DJ, head to that URL there. Become our latest member. You get a free copy of the book as well as a bonus. And joining us is free. But yeah, music, gear, techniques, playing out and promoting yourself are our 5 big areas of DJing. And music, it's the first one, or the second one, because it's really important to have the music all organized. And we talk about how to prepare it in there. And also in our complete DJ course, we go into a lot of detail about preparing music as well. John says, is there an easier way to prepare tracks other than warping them in Ableton? If you're using DJ software like Recordbox, Virtual DJ, or Serato, then you don't need to do it in Ableton. You can put the beat grids down on them in those pieces of software, which is probably going to be easier for you. With Traktor, you're still going to need to use Ableton. If you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. Right, let's move on. We're talking about returning to DJing after a break. Alan says, I'm loving the stream, Phil. I'm looking to come back from my small in the summer of this year. I've been in the middle of moving house, but I'm looking to finally be moved in the next couple of months. Is this the same Alan whose comment I just read out? Or is it just someone else wanting to know about live streaming? Who knows? But you're saying, I'm looking for webcams to do live streaming with. Can I get away with 720 resolution? Yes, you can. We've already covered that, so thank you for that. Waylon says, DJ Ruth Flowers, proof that age is no barrier. Indeed, Google DJ Ruth Flowers if you want to follow up on that one. William is in Menorca, not so far from us here in the Mediterranean. 2 years after I'm coming back to DJing, to weddings. I'm missing the butterflies in the tummy before kicking off, but that's what shows you're still into it. If you're not nervous before the gig, think about giving up because you just don't care anymore. So thanks for that. We'll just take 1 or 2 more comments here because we got to get out of here, got other stuff to do. The big thing that changed for me, says Gavin, after a break, was how fast DJ transitions are nowadays. I'm used to transitioning after a verse or a chorus. DJs are now transitioning before the chorus. Well, not always, but yes. Modern tools have made it easier to transition very quickly between tracks. The attention spans of dance floors have meant that people sometimes require that. And the way music is made nowadays means that that's okay. Spotify means tracks get going immediately. Basically, they've done their thing after a minute half the time, and DJs are happy to mix out with them. But you don't have to do that. It all depends on the crowd and the genre of music you're playing. But it is certainly something that's new that never used to be there in the past for sure. Okay, final couple of comments. So you must be my lucky charm, says the Rockers. During this exact stream, I received word that my residency is back on May the 20th after a long break, so that's great. It's great to hear, and maybe this stream somehow in the fractal universe caused that to happen. No, I don't take credit for that. Once a DJ, always a DJ, says Caliente TV 210. If you've mastered your craft, you can rock any dance floor, anytime, any place, anywhere. Thank you, Phil. Well, you're very welcome, and I'd certainly agree with every word you said there. And Catherine, Cat's Groove, has started having monthly music listening parties in her backyard. So there you go. You don't need to do any more than that. And I bet you're getting an awful lot of fun from that as well. Last one for today then. This is from... you can tell we're live because I always want to pick something nice to end on. That's why the gap. So Ronaldo, we're going to end with Ronaldo, who says, this is perfect timing. I just got my new hard drive and I started getting my DJ collection back. I bought my DJ controller back out and I'm ready to pick it up again. Well, that's good to know. So look, if you are ready to pick up DJing again, and that's why you've come to this video, go to have a look at the article. It's called Returning to DJing After a Break. It's on the Digital DJ Tips website. And if it's not there, you can't find it, hit the little box at the top and type Returning to DJing After a Break in to that box that comes up when you hit the magnifying glass. Not only do you get the article, but you get a free download PDF full of links to tutorials, gear, hardware, software, and everything else you need to return to DJing. And our big message to you here today is not enough has changed for you to be scared about this. Yes, things have changed, but you can still do this. If you still love music and you still want to play that music so other people can enjoy it, DJing is waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Get back into it, get good, get out there and make the moments, eh? And we'll see you again very soon. Join me on Thursday for an Any Questions, and join me at the same time next Tuesday, which is 3 p.m. London, 10 a.m. Eastern, for another Tuesday Tips Live. But meanwhile, this is Phil at Digital DJ Tips, the company behind Rock the Dance Floor, the #1 book on Amazon, and the company behind more DJ courses covering a wider variety of DJ topics than anyone else in the world. Digital DJ Tips. It's a pleasure to do this for you for free every week. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep asking questions. We'll answer them underneath. Facebook is the best place to do that. Bye-bye for now.